Foreign policy was the overreaching theme of the third presidential debate Monday evening. However, there was a lot of discussion about domestic economy between President Barack Obama and Republican Mitt Romney. It was the final debate for the candidates who now hit the campaign trail in an attempt to sway undecided voters. You're watching News OK's weekly series, The Ballot. Chris Castile, the Oklahoman's political correspondent, joins us now from the nation's capital. And Chris, thanks so much for your time today.
Sure, Dave. Glad to be here.
Well, Chris, as I mentioned, the debate was originally going to focus on foreign policy. It seems the economy found its way back into the conversation. What was the biggest topic of the evening, or what did you hear about the most?
Well, I think you're right, Dave. I mean, the economy, domestic issues definitely found their way into this foreign policy debate. I mean, I would think the preponderance of the debate was still about foreign policy, but and clearly the president was definitely more comfortable talking about foreign policy. I mean, he has a lot of the nuances of the policy down. He's privy to a lot more information. Governor Romney, it's not going to be a strong suit. A sitting president would always have an advantage in that case. But, I think both candidates want to talk about domestic issues, and that's what really people want to hear about. So there's no surprise at all that they took every opportunity to get back to the economy, to get back to topics like the auto bailout, like education, and those kinds of things. But really, I didn't hear much new last night, not really in anything. I mean, Governor Romney, as I said, was kind of cautious when talking about foreign policy, wound up agreeing with the president a lot. We've heard the debate, about the auto bailout. We did find out that Governor Romney loves teachers, and that there used to be a lot more horses and bayonets in the military. But other than that, I'm not sure what new may have come out of it.
That's right. That was probably the most tweetable line from last night's debate. And this was the third debate, the final debate. And the latest polls show that probably fewer voters were swayed by this final debate. Chris, is there an overall winner in these discussions, or will it simply come down to November 6th, election night?
Well, I think Governor Romney was clearly the overall winner, and just purely based on debate number one. And, everything that he did in that debate and everything the president didn't do, but Governor Romney won that debate not just because the president did so poorly, but just because he did so well and showed that he could stand kind of on equal footing with the president of the United States, debate these issues, be aggressive and hold his own. I think clearly, even if you gave the foreign policy debate to President Obama and even gave him an edge in the town hall debate, the second debate, or say it was a draw, clearly the Democrats, the president coming out of the Democratic convention in early September just seemed to be unstoppable. It seemed like his national lead was growing, and you saw the gap grow in some of these just critical states like Ohio and Virginia. And that, the race was always going to narrow. There was no question about that. It was going to narrow as it got closer, but it narrowed in a hurry. And I don't know of anything else that could have caused it really, but that first debate. So I think you'd have to say Governor Romney was the overall winner.
We were chatting via Skype with Chris Castile from the Oklahoman's Washington Bureau, and let's talk about what's next. With the debates behind them, Obama and Romney will travel to several key states, as you mentioned, to make that final push for votes. Chris, how important are these final days of the campaign? And they will still spend quite a bit of money.
They sure will, and run quite a bit of ads and make quite a few appearances in the same states over and over. And you'll see them, I think, mainly in Ohio, in Virginia, in Florida. There'll be some stops, of course, in New Hampshire and Iowa. But for the president, it may really come down to Ohio. And I think that he's going to spend a lot of time there. And I think the messaging from both as they close out these next 2 weeks is important. After the debates, as you said, you've got these last 2 weeks, and it's kind of critical that they close it out in some way to convince voters, not only the ones that are still unconvinced who to vote for, but the ones that already favor one of the candidates to get out. And so I think what they say in the next couple of weeks will be really important. We'll still hear some of the attacks, the same ones we've been hearing for the past few months. But I think also, we'll start seeing more direct appeals to voters. Here's who I am, here's what I'll do, and here's why you should get out and vote for me.
Well, millions of Americans have watched these three debates and the vice presidential debate. including those in the world of pop culture. And the discussions between the president and Romney have found their way into skits on SNL and created popular satire videos on YouTube, some auto tunes. Chris, you have any favorites out there?
Well, you know, not really. I mean, I think for me, in this cycle, you know, there haven't been some of the, especially like on SNL, any of the skit actors that in the past have done some of the candidates so well. I mean, obviously, so it would be hard ever to top Tina Fey doing Sarah Palin.
Right.
But you know, even like back in 2000, I think was that when Will Ferrell did George W. Bush.
George Bush, right? You know, even
Strategery.
Last night when I'm watching the debate, I'm listening to Mitt Romney, and that's in the back of my mind going, does he have a voice that can be imitated? And of course, everybody does. So, you know, it's just a matter of
right.
time.
If you've got somebody good enough to do it. But, you know, I think Jon Stewart, The Daily Show has been, you know, for me, he gets at the heart of it, you know, 9 times out of 10. I think he's really funny. Some of the other ones, the lip syncing one, I'm not sure I got that. May have gone under my head. But.
Well said. Chris Castile, we'll let you get back to it. We know you're a busy man, and thanks so much for your time today.
All right, Dave.
All right, and Chris will, of course, be joining us on a Google Hangout. We'll have that next Wednesday. That'll be next Wednesday as we talk about politics, both from the national scene and the local scene. And, of course, November 6th, Tuesday night, that's election night, and we'll have complete coverage of the elections live throughout the evening. You can find more continuous coverage on newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman. You've been watching The Ballot.